with Uncommon Women Podcast, a dope podcast to bring light to reality from real life people sharing real life stories with a host of women having real life talk, the good and the bad, with no judgment. Uncommon Women's Loyalty is here to support those that need a safe space to speak their truth and rawness to the world. Tune in, relax, take notes, and let's vibe. Here are your hosts, Uncommon Women.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to Uncommon Women. We are kicking off season 8, and I'm super excited to be back. Definitely enjoying 2025 thus far, and I have an amazing opportunity to start season 8 with an amazing testimony this evening. She is a nurse practitioner, 42 years old. Sherice is going to be coming up in just a moment to share her testimony of being a teen mom, raised in a poverty system, and just sharing her truth of how she was able to transition her life from being a teen mom and not letting that affect who she is today. So first and foremost, thank you, Sherice, for coming on Uncommon Women today. How's your day going so far?
My day has been very busy, but I am so happy to be here.
Okay. And so before we get into your testimony and your powerful story, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and some fun facts that people don't know about you?
Oh, gosh. All right. So I am 42 years old, surprisingly.
Looking good, girl. Looking good.
I'm right now, I have 3 children, ages 28, 21, and 15. You already said I'm a nurse practitioner. I am board certified. A fun fact about me is that I don't cook and I barely clean. So
that's the I don't cook and clean story.
And whenever I meet men, that's the first thing I'm gonna tell you. I don't really cook. I don't know why. I just don't like it. I do it sometimes, but I don't do it often.
Are you open now? Are you open to learning?
I'm open to learning now. I didn't say I can't cook. I just don't like doing it.
Okay.
So whoever marries me, they have to be prepared to feed me.
Or we gotta get you, or we just gotta find you a husband that's gonna bring in a chef, so that way you ain't gotta worry about that.
That's right.
I got a cleaning lady, and I don't mind passing on some of the tasks. Okay,
she's here often.
Exactly. So you understand where I'm coming from. Absolutely.
Yes. My cleaning is often. It's here
Yes. So before we get into your story, can you let us know what inspired you to get into the mental health field and become an advocate for healing?
I think it's through empathy, empathy through experience. I've experienced instability. I experienced abandonment. I experienced homelessness. I've experienced those type of things. So I guess it's my mission to kind of help my patients also get through some of their pain and through their trauma, whether it be through counseling, medication management, or referring them to the appropriate people that can help them. I absolutely love helping women, and especially women of color, because a lot of times we're taught that we're not allowed to talk or discuss certain things in our anything that happens in the house stays in the house. It does not leave outside the house. And that's what I was taught my entire life. But that only hurt me in the long run by not talking about what was going on with me and inside my feelings. So just right now, I'm just ready to just let it all out. I'm ready to let it out.
Okay. So because I believe that a lot of women of color was taught the same thing. I don't know, maybe that's just something that our ancestors used to say, and then it's just passed on. Do you believe that it's harder for women of color to open up when it comes to sharing their story, or getting help for in therapy when you have new clients?
Oh, yes. I feel like a lot of my Black or African-American patients, they're kind of like reserved. They won't tell the whole story. So it's almost like pulling teeth to try to get their story out of them. It's always, they just want to tell the surface, but they don't want to dig deep. because a lot of us are afraid of that pain that we feel when we start digging deep. But I just kind of remind my patients, you have to feel that pain in order to heal from it. And that's the first step. You have to acknowledge that there is an issue, and before we can actually help that issue to make you feel better.
I love that. I love that. Speaking of, healing and going through it, can you take us back to your childhood and what life was like growing up?
So a lot of people know that I grew up in Chester, Pennsylvania. I grew up in the Fairground Project. We were on the in-house, and we had a cherry tree. And that cherry tree is where a lot of the neighborhood kids would come and congregate, climb the trees every summer. I remember my early childhood as being fun. I have 3 brothers. We played a lot together. We were really close. We played wrestling. We played trucks. We tackled. A couple times they would come play with my Barbies. And I could remember as a younger child being very spoiled by my mom. You name a Barbie, my mom got it for me. Anything that I wanted, my mom got it for me. I was very spoiled as a small child. But somehow, as I got older, our relationship changed. But I would say that my brothers, I really enjoyed them growing up. We were really close. And I feel like all our experiences kind of different that we experienced in the household, but we were witness to everything. So through our shared trauma is what keeps us close. That's what keeps us close. And we constantly, we're in our late 30s and early 40s, and we still, when we get together, talk about those times that were hard for us when we were children.
Okay. And it's crazy because I have a older brother and older sister too. And when I wrote my book, from the eyes or their lens, they're like, well, that's not what happened. That's how I didn't see it, And, it's crazy how we all have our own truth and we all walk in our own journey, even coming from the same household. You may have a different perspective of life. And that's the same thing as if you're in, I don't know, a math class. We all have different ways of learning. Yes. So I think a lot of people take that for advantage of a disadvantage when you have struggles and, traumas and tribulations within a household where your other siblings don't understand, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. So I guess as long as I could recall, my dad, he was really bad drug addict. He was strung out on all sorts of drugs. You name it, he's probably done it. And that's how I remember him as a child growing up. He was on drugs really bad. And there were times that I even witnessed him and found him.
Take your time.
Sorry.
Nope, you're good. Take your time.
He's not here now. Okay. Go ahead. There were times that I would actually find him passed out with needles in his arms. And I would just kind of turn around and just kind of leave him be. But there was also times, because my dad was very abusive to my mom, we would witness as children him physically abusing and torturing our mother. We witnessed that as children. And it's not to say anything bad about my father, because I love him with my whole heart. I feel like he's the only constant person who loved me unconditionally. No matter what his sickness was, he loved me for me. I was his baby girl. I was his Reese cup. And he was always kind to me. And I miss him. I feel like when he finally got his life together, he got off the drugs, he got married, he got a good job, he got this huge house in Atlanta, he brought this big old truck. He was doing so well.
Wow.
But then God called him home unexpectedly as soon as he got his life together. So I didn't get a chance to really enjoy him clean, healthy. All I remember him is back and forth in and out of rehab. But he would do whatever he could. I'm sorry, I'm going on about my father.
No, you're fine.
I remember my 13th birthday, or maybe I was turning 12. And it was one of those times where he had just got out of rehab. He had got himself a girlfriend, so he was doing good and he was feeling good. And he came to me and he said, Reese Cup, what do you want for your birthday? And I said, Dad, I want that outfit just like yours. He had on this jean outfit and it had like suede patches here and it had suede patches on his thighs. And I said, Dad, I want an outfit just like yours. And he went and got me an outfit just like his. And that was the most memorable gift that I can remember ever receiving. I really appreciated that. So my dad had a lot of great qualities, but he was sick. So, people ask why I get into this field. I've experienced a lot of pain in my life, and a lot of people don't know that about me. So that's why I'm here on Uncommon Woman, to tell my truth, and to tell my testimony. So I guess that's probably, the start of the childhood before it started going even worse.
As a child, because I'm not sure how old you were when you seen your dad in those circumstances, but how did it feel like emotionally? Did you feel like useless because you wasn't able to help him, or what emotions were you going through at that time?
I didn't feel like I was the person to help him, because I was a kid myself and I had really difficulty understanding his sickness and his diagnosis. It wasn't until as I got older, I kind of understood what he was going through. And that's why I don't judge. I don't judge anyone who has addiction issues. Some people feel like, when they see me, it's like, oh, Sherice, I got tissue in my eyes. Like I'm judging, people who have addiction issues, but I really don't. I've experienced it with my own father, and I would never judge.
I think a lot of people have like a preconception of somebody just by how somebody looks, when you really don't know what people's struggles are. And then I also believe that, anybody can go through addiction. It doesn't have to always be drug related. People forget to talk about that. Like you can have an addiction to sex. You can have addiction to gambling. You can have an addiction to being in relationships. And some people only focus on those type of things, but honestly, it's just something that they're filling a void, and people have different ways of escaping that void. I mean, you're the therapist, not me, but you can coincide in regards to what I'm saying. But I agree with you. You can't always judge somebody based off of what they're going through, because you don't know their story. You don't know how they got there.
Right.
And growing up in a household where my dad used drugs too, I don't know if it's like a thing from the 50s or, we're not going to get into too deep with that, but it's like, that was their way of having fun, So you did mention you had a lot of trials and tribulations growing up with your dad and seeing a lot of things with your mom. You mentioned you had 3 children as well. How old were you when you had your first child?
I was 14.
Oh, okay. So being a young mother, now we're adding on to everything that you got going on, and emotions and things. First off, when you found out you were pregnant, was it easy for you to tell your parents? Being as though you just said that your dad was, very loud and emotive and things like that. How you going out and doing what you doing at 14 and then you get pregnant, girl?
I think at the time I found out I was pregnant, my dad was actually incarcerated. Okay. So that saved me from him. Now, the story behind the whole finding out I was pregnant, what I can remember is that for a while, my mom put me out of my bedroom. I was no longer allowed. I was no longer allowed to sleep in my room. Okay. So she made me sleep on the couch.
Wow.
So I slept on the couch. All my things, my clothes, a little bit of things that I did have, she had on the couch, next to my things were next to the couch. So I no longer had a bedroom. She told me I wasn't allowed to sleep in my room. It was a punishment because she got in this relationship and with a female, and she believed everything that this woman would tell her. Every single thing this woman told her, it was gold, and she believed it. And she told lies about me. My mom believed it.
Wow.
And that's when our relationship started changing. So she put me out my room. She would wake me up in the morning before she went to work. Around 6 o'clock in the morning, she would make me leave the house when she went to work. So all day, a 13-year-old, I'm leaving the house at 6. And I just roamed the streets basically until nighttime, when she told me that I could come back in the house. Back in the house was between 8, I had to be home before 8 o'clock. So basically, there's a 12, 13-year-old, I just found myself getting into
other stuff, right?
Trouble. Yeah, but the story behind the pregnancy, the one morning I woke up, I was not feeling well. My mom was, got me ready, said, I'm about to go to work, you need to get ready to go. But at that same time, she caught me. I had a knife underneath the blanket, and I was kind of like playing with it, and across my arm. And she didn't say what's wrong. She didn't say anything. She said, give me my knife. I gave it to her, and then I told her, I don't feel right. I feel sick. I don't feel like myself. She told me to stand up. She looked at me and she said, you're pregnant. That was it.
Wow.
She told me I was pregnant. She said, I'm making a doctor's appointment for you to get tested, and we take it from there. And sure enough, they said I was 6 weeks pregnant.
Wow. Listen, they talk about intuition with a mom. Ain't no joke.
She knew I was 6 weeks pregnant.
Wow. And what emotions and challenges did you face, before even getting into motherhood?
It was kind of rocky. I thought that me becoming pregnant would kind of make our relationship grow closer, because she told me, she gave me an option to either give the baby up or have an abortion. No abortion. She said I could have it and keep it, or I would have to give the baby up. She didn't believe in abortion because her mom didn't abort her, is what she said. Her mom had her as a young child.
At a young age. Wow.
That's had her as a young child. Yes. And she said her mom didn't abort her. So I decided if I was going to have a baby, I wanted to keep it. And I made the decision to keep the baby.
Okay. Did you feel at that time, since, the relationship with your mom wasn't what you intended as a teen, did you feel like maybe bringing this baby in the world that you can teach that child everything that you didn't have and give them the love and stuff that you didn't have in the house?
No, initially I was so young. It was something that was different. Being pregnant in the 8th grade is not fun. People stare, people point, people laugh. I smelled all sorts of weird smells that I was sick constantly in school. I was big as a house because she was 8 pounds. And here I am, this little child, 14, having a baby. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because then people start forming all sorts of opinions about you. Like, she must be, promiscuous. She's doing this.
And all
There
that.
was rumors started about things that I wasn't doing, but it was me. So I'm pregnant, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun.
If you could go back in time, would you change the moment of being pregnant though?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. My daughter's here. She is 28 years old today. Well, she's about to be 28 in 2 weeks. She's the reason that kept me going, that kept me moving. She was my motivation. I just knew that I did not want to be another statistic, another teen mom who's having multiple kids by the time she's 18, living off the system and, the normal perception they have of young teen mothers. And I just knew that that's not what I wanted to be, another statistic. Statistic. Yes.
During the season of, being a young mom, did you feel like you had any support during that time?
I think during my pregnancy, my mom was very supportive, very
Okay.
nurturing. And I had a godmom that I would stay with often. I hope she's watching. She was a very good support system for me, and she didn't even know everything that was going on. I don't think a lot of my family knew what was going on because, like I said, whatever happens in the house stays in the house. But after I had the baby, my mom approached me in the hospital and she gave me a piece of paper and she said, Sherice, you're too young to get health insurance for the baby. So I need you to sign these papers so that we can get medical insurance for the baby. And I signed it. I didn't look at it. I didn't read it. I just signed my name. Well, I found out 2 years later what those papers were. So, yeah.
Do you mind sharing? Because I didn't know that you couldn't get health insurance at a young age.
Well, yeah, at 14, I didn't know that, but you can, for everyone that's listening. No matter how young you are as a mother, you can get your own health insurance. So what that paper was, I started working, and when I was working, I was responsible for myself and my child. I got my own laundry detergent. I paid my own phone bill. I paid my mom rent. This is at 16 years old.
Wow.
I bought my own clothes. I did everything for myself. We were not allowed to touch her laundry detergent. We weren't allowed to, it got to a point, we weren't allowed to eat certain foods that were in the house. We had to buy our own food when we started working. So I think it was one day I had just got my check and I waving to my mom as she's driving past me and she was like holding her fist up. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? What did I do?
Right.
She wakes me up in the morning the next day and tells me I didn't pay my rent. And I say, Mom, I just got paid yesterday. She said, Sherice, I want you out. And I said, if I leave, I'm taking this child with me. And she says, no, you're not. So yeah, it didn't go over easy. She showed the police the piece of paper and it said that
she had basically custody of everything.
Yes. So I had to leave and I had to leave my child there. So I left and the police just let me go, told me to just go. They didn't make sure I was safe.
Even as a minor?
No, they didn't make sure I had somewhere safe to go. They didn't make sure, they just told me to go. Whew. And I left. And I left without my child.
And you were 16, correct?
I was 16.
At the time? Mm-hmm. Did you have any support from your daughter's father?
No.
Time?
No. I mean, won't say that. I would say that his mom was always very nice to me. She was always supportive of me and of my feelings. When he did me wrong, she was like right on my side with everything.
Okay.
But it was like no match to my mom because it was my mom. She kind of controlled everything. Telling me what I can do with the baby, who can watch the baby, where I could take the baby. She kind of like controlled everything. And it's my mom, so I have to listen to what she tells me.
Right.
She didn't really want the baby around the dad's side of the family.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was one of those things.
I see that you've had a lot of deep issues through in your childhood that you had to really deal with kind of on your own. Leaving the house at 16, first off, did you have an idea where you were going to go?
No, I did not. I did not. Okay. I didn't.
So did you have a point in your life where you were, I don't want to say homeless, but did you have a point in your life where you had to be outside and literally just fend for yourself? Or did you have your godmom, where you speak highly of, that was able to take you under her wing?
So I didn't really have my godmom because at that time, I believe she was living in Tennessee. She moved to Tennessee at that time. So at that time, I didn't really have, or maybe I didn't really talk about it. I think my guidance counselor, high school, I think was more concerned about what I was doing and where I was at and why I wasn't in school, that she's actually the one who came looking for me. And
what?
She found me. She came looking and searching and she found me.
Wow.
Yes. Because
how did that make you feel that someone at school really like came looking for you. You know, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's such a blessing.
yes, it was nice. And she got in touch with my aunt, and my aunt, you know, took me in. My aunt lived in Downingtown,
Okay.
and she took me in. So
Okay.
that was a different experience because it was no longer fending for myself. I was allowed to be a
A
teenager.
teen. Yeah.
She took really good care of me, you know, made sure I had the things that I needed, school and things like that. So I was able to be an actual child. Yeah.
Okay. So you did have a moment where you had a maybe even if it was a small period, but a good upbringing,
Yeah.
even though it wasn't by your biological parents. That's good.
Yes.
Were you able to at least have visits with your daughter, even though you weren't able to stay there?
I got in touch with, I had to actually take my mom to court for custody of my child.
Okay. Okay.
I wasn't allowed to actually take her to court until I turned 18 because they said I was a minor. So I had to wait till I was 18 to take her to court for custody of my child. So as we were preparing for that, the courts allowed me to have visitation. So
Okay.
it went for like a year, maybe. I didn't see her year and a half, but then finally the courts awarded me visitation. So it started off slowly. I would see her for a couple hours on the weekend, and then I would, you know, get to keep her overnight on the weekends, and then it kind of like progressed. So I was in college at Cheney University.
Okay, and then you went to college, so that's really good that you still pursued school, even though everything that you've been through. I love that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. So yes, when I got her back, it was amazing. But even seeing her for the first time after not seeing her for
So long.
a year, it felt different. And then I just knew that I wanted to try to bring her up in a better situation and in a better life than I had growing up. And I strive for that, but I don't know if I've always been the best. You know, I think as parents, we do tend to make mistakes and wish there were some things that we didn't do or we should have done. But I just want her to know that I love her and I'm very proud of her.
Aww.
You're always wanted. She was always wanted.
I love that. I think children don't realize that, you know, there's no manual to being a parent. So we do the best that we can. And until they get older and have their own children, that's when they realize it, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you now, with you saying what you just said, that you've always wanted her and you want her to know that you love her and that she's always felt wanted. She was still young when your mother had custody of her, correct?
Yes.
Does she remember any of everything that was going on, or is it still vague?
No, I don't. Okay. She doesn't remember, or if she does, we don't really talk about it.
Okay.
I mean, she knows that it happened because I told her, but I don't think she like remembers the details.
Details of everything.
Yeah, she doesn't remember the details.
Okay. So you went to college, you went to Cheney, you graduated. Now you're in your profession. When did you personally realize that mental health was something that you needed to prioritize for yourself?
For myself, I think I was the type of person that was used to, like, when things happen to me, I sweep it under the rug and I just go. I never took the time to sit and process and deal with my emotions. And I think one year, after like a breakup, I think I had a meltdown. I think I fell into a deep depression. And then, you know, one of my older sons had said, listen, I don't know what's going on with you, Mom, but you are the prize. I don't know what's happening, but you're the prize. And then I had to think, like, if my sons are seeing me like this, it's not good. So then that's when I was like, let me seek therapy.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, keep going. Don't
get
distracted.
Yes, I was like, let me seek therapy. So I did seek a therapist, and he was absolutely amazing. I would visit with him literally lying down in bed in under my covers. And each week he's like, oh no, like next week I need you sitting up. Next week I need you downstairs. Next week you're going to take yourself out. Like each week he gave me tasks to complete. Amazing guy. And then we got to the nitty gritty of what I was really dealing with. And it wasn't actually the breakup. It was all the childhood trauma that I've suppressed my whole entire life, not speaking my truth. And I will say, yes, my mom has apologized to me and my brothers for things that happened when we were growing up. Yes, we've made amends, but we're still not as close. And it's not necessarily a decision that I have, but I realize I take my mom as she is.
Mm-hmm.
This is her.
That's her character, right?
That's her character. And I just leave her where she is. And I'm not saying like now my mom, she has her own issues, and I try to understand her, especially if I'm working in mental health.
Right.
So I know that she has her own trauma that she must have been dealing with, losing her mom so young and being rejected by her father. So it's things that I know now that I'm working with in mental health and helping my own patients. So yes, I do forgive my mom. We're not as close as I would like. I'm respectful because she is my mom.
Right.
But she's not like normal mother-daughter relationship. We don't talk every day. I think the last time I seen her was maybe a year and a half ago, and we only live 20 minutes away from each other. It's like not. So I just accept her where she is. I just leave her where she is, and hopefully one day it gets better, but I can't.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How was your relationship with your siblings?
My siblings are really close. I did lose one of my siblings, the one under me. I found him, oh my goodness, unresponsive, dead in my house. Started CPR on him. That was another trauma experience that I don't wish on anyone. Someone that you're so close to and having to do CPR on. It just wasn't, yeah. So I still have my two brothers, and we're very, very, very close. We still, to this day, every now and again, we talk about our childhood and things that happen. It's like a constant recorder, a conversation that we constantly have. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Your brother that was living with you, were you guys the two closest?
I think, yes, I would say yes, because whenever, like when we were younger and whenever we had those little play things, it was always us two against the other two.
Oh, okay.
So we were always truck partners. We always were wrestling partners. We were always the two together, and the other two were together. And this brother, we watched the same shows. He called me.
So y'all like grew up together.
Yeah. So yes.
And I'm sure that's hard because I know you feel like a piece of you have left you, especially, from all the accomplishments from that time. But he's shining down on you. He's right with you.
Oh, yes.
And I'm sure that he loves the person the beautiful woman that you turned into be.
Oh, gosh. I hope he's proud of me. I know he
is proud of you. There we go.
I know
there we go.
Yes.
I love that. When was your turning point? You said that you were having therapy, and he was definitely pushing you out your element, pushing you out your comfort. Like, girl, you got to get up. We ain't getting comfortable. We got to get up.
What was
your turning point when you was like, you know what, I really need to start healing?
So I think with him, I think that's where it started. And then I think we were kind of like having a conversation, and I said, hey, I was on Instagram and I saw there was this wellness retreat in Costa Rica. And I said, I think I want to go. And I said, what do you think? He says, what do I think? I think that's a wonderful idea. What's causing you not to want to go? So, well, I'll be by myself, blah, blah, blah. And he just explained the good that could come out of it. And it really was life-changing. I'm glad I went. I think that's when the turning point actually happened. So first we worked on some of the trauma that I've been through. And he would even say, looking at you, Sherice, I would have never known. And I said, that's what a lot of people say. They never know the hurt and the pain and the struggles I've been through as a child and a teenager. But that's what makes me today.
Yes.
There's no more hiding. There's no more being ashamed of who I am. There's no more belittling myself to make people feel comfortable with being around in my energy, because that was a lot too. Dating certain types of men, it was like, don't say that, don't do that, don't post that, because they were, it's like an intimidation type of prospect. So then, after we worked on my healing, my trauma, then we worked on dating and things that I like and things that I'm looking for in a person. So then it kind of kept moving.
What ripple effect after that, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So basically I got comfortable with being me in my skin and who I am, and the rest is history. It's still being.
Sorry to cut you off. Did you experience any other trauma or a part of knowing Sherice besides, being a child, a teen mom, and going through the things as a child? Did you experience anything personally within yourself that you needed healing from?
I think a lot of my healing kind of started from all that childhood trauma, but as I got older, I kind of felt trapped. Like I didn't feel like I was myself. I felt so closed in. But I think I was lucky. I think God has always been on my side, because when I did go through more struggles, there was always someone in the background willing to help me. I've come across a lot of people who've helped me along the way to help me succeed. And and I remember one coworker who's known me for a long time. She says, Sherice, you touch it, it happens. She says, whatever you do, you touch, it happens. She says, God has been following you. So yeah, she's seen me from LPN to what I'm doing now. So yeah, it's good that she recognizes that God's on my side.
In the journey, because people look at us like, oh, you got it so together. Give me the tips on how you do it. It's like, you have no idea what I had to go through to get here,
Yes, the struggles.
They only see the good, which is good, but they only see the calm after the storm.
Yes.
Absolutely. What advice or encouragement would you give to another young mom struggling silently with mental health, or, feeling like they have to have it all together?
I'm going to tell you that it's not the end. You might not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but there is a light at the end of that tunnel, and just keep persevering. Sometimes, and I would hate to say this, you have to let the system work for you. Do not, if you're asking for help, don't be ashamed to take the help, because I did. I remember a couple years having my daughter's whole Christmas financed by other people. Like, if they're willing to help, take the help. Don't be so prideful, because if I didn't, or if I, as I started progressing in my career, sometimes I used my experience and what's happened to me as a child to help me get things and accomplish things in life. I think I've written several essays about my childhood and growing up, and I won several scholarships for college based on that essay.
Oh, I love that.
And I just want to tell this story, and I'll be quiet.
Girl, this is your testimony. What you mean be quiet? You got some talk to do.
So I remember graduating high school. I went to Downingtown High School, and at that time, there wasn't a lot of us brown people in the school. So I remember applying for a couple scholarships in the school, and the award ceremony, they ended up giving me 2, but on graduation for the big scholarships, they call those out during graduation. So I'm like, I did apply. I was like, damn, I applied for a couple, but they only gave me 2. But at this graduation ceremony, they called my name, not once, but twice. The only colored Black person who got 2 big scholarships. So my college was basically paid for.
Let's go.
So so that's
such an accomplishment, though.
Yes.
Especially walking over that stage like, I can do the same thing that you guys can do.
Yes.
And not being judged by your color,
Nope. And I remember inviting my mom, and she told me she couldn't come to my high school graduation.
Wow.
But my aunt, she was like, it's okay, I'll go. And she has been supporting me ever since. She's been to every single graduation that I've had.
I love that. And I'm sure she's supporting you now with your business as well. And we'll get into the business in a little bit. How can people stay connected with you and learn about the work that you actually do?
Okay, I do have a website. It's fortheloveofyoupsychiatry.com. There is a comment section down the bottom. Also, if you need an appointment, you can find me on ZocDoc, Row Therapy, and Headway. Just type in my name on those platforms. Yes. So I'll just say a number, 484-982-0089 if you want to rather call to make an appointment.
Okay. And can you give us a little detail in regards to, what you do, what you focus on? I know you like to help women of color. We talked a little bit about it in the beginning. But can you, give us just a base of your platform of what you do and how you help others?
So usually when I want to say that I like helping women of all color.
Okay.
We all have sometimes some of the same struggles.
Yes.
Usually I usually do medication management. If some people need some type of therapy, I also do small supportive therapy. And if there's something that I possibly can't talk to you about, I refer you to the professionals who know how to address your issues. So if people want to come for because they need a diagnosis, they're unsure of what they're feeling, or addiction issues, things like that. That's basically what I do. So yeah.
And I'll also put your website on the link so that they can check you out. Anyone that wants to get a consultation. Where are you based out of? Can you let people know that are watching that's not in the area?
I am located in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. It's a small little city in Chester County. The address is 110 North 4th Avenue. So I'm not usually I know some people say they come by, but I'm only there certain hours.
Okay. So you have a set schedule.
I have a set schedule. Yes.
And do you do virtual?
So you
forgot to, girl, you got to come on.
I do virtual and I do in-person visits.
Okay.
So I'm always excited when someone actually wants to come in person to see me. I get super excited. I have coffee. I have snacks available for those who want to see me in person. So yes.
Is most of your client base virtual?
Most of my patients are virtual. Yes, okay. Most of them. There's some who regularly come and see me in person because they like the face-to-face conversation.
Okay.
Yes.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Sherice, for coming on and sharing your story. Before we close out, is there one thing or any advice that you want to say to anyone that's listening, that's reaching out or watching today's testimony?
I would say there were many times where I wanted to give up, and I thought the end of my journey was at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. But I kept pushing through. Just because you have one bad day doesn't define the rest of your life. You just keep on moving, you keep on pushing. And I also want to just let people know that you have to feel that pain. You have to feel that trauma. You cannot avoid it. If you don't face it, you'll keep falling into the same cycle and the same patterns, and you're not helping yourself. And sometimes we want to do better and different for our children. One thing that I wish I would have done is sought therapy sooner. Earlier part of my life, because in a lot of choices that I made in my later adult life, I probably wouldn't have made if I would have took the time to heal. We don't judge, we listen. So I just want you to know that whenever you come and see me, I don't judge because I'm no person to judge. I've heard it all. I've seen it all, being a nurse for over 20 years. So yes.
And then you also have your story where you can, inspire others to not focus on what they're going on going through in that moment, you know.
Mhm.
So I love that your testimony basically shows you that no matter what you went through in the past, no matter what your parents have been through, no matter if you started being a parent at a young age, you still can strive.
Mhm.
A
Yes.
nurse practitioner, like you there, you up six, what they say, six figures. you you're there, but you're also a chosen vessel helping others in the long run. And that's what I love about your story, how you're able to help others based off of what you went through.
Yes.
So with that being said, we do ask all of our guest speakers before we close out, and that is, what makes you uncommon?
Oh, what makes me uncommon? I just told you everything that I've been through. There's not a lot of people who could say that they've had so much, been through so much at such an early age. I was forced to grow up after I had my child, and I've worked hard. I taken care of myself, you know, and here I am still standing. Um,
Still
so
standing. There we
still
go.
standing. I'm still standing, even though there's times I just want to fall over, but I'm still standing. I'm still, I'm keep going. I still have children. I still have to live for and fight for. So I'm happy to be here for them.
Okay. And we are so thankful. You have such a soft spirit. We are so thankful for you to be able to carry on the journey of helping others, and especially focusing on mental health, because it's well needed in today's society with so much going on in the world and so much negativity. So thank you so much again,
Thank
Sherice,
you
for
for having
coming on.
me. Thank you for having me. I was a nerve of all, I was full of anxiety. I was full of anxiety.
It's just girl talk. That's all we doing.
Yes.
It's just girl talk, talking about the things that swept under the rug, but
Mhm.
also sharing the light of those that are helping others in the world. So I definitely commend you so much for that. Thank you for our viewers that has tuned in. Let me see if we have any questions. No, everybody's just watching, tuning in. Thank you so much. If you are watching and you have a story or testimony that you want to come on the podcast and share your story, you're more than welcome to reach out. Go on the website at uncommonwomen.net. We are starting season 8. Sherice is the first speaker for season 8, so you'll be seeing us once a month on a Thursday between 6 and 7 p.m. I will be sharing more details in regards to our next speaker. We do have some upcoming events coming up. We have a chef competition that's coming up August 3rd. And then we have our yearly self-love seminar that's coming up, which Sherice was one of the vendors at last year's event. So we definitely appreciate you for supporting us and now being on the platform to share your story. Thank you for those that was listening in. And please remember to stay uncommon.
Yay.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you've been shacking up with us for a while and haven't subscribed to our channel, what are you waiting for? Please like and subscribe to Uncommon Woman so you won't miss another episode. And remember, don't let anything or anyone affect your peace. Good vibes and stay uncommon.